you like hearing people's stories.
Yeah, I
finding
love
out
it.
more about them.
I love it.
And my mom just told me a story of my grandpa when they were kids. My grandpa, like one of my aunts, there's like 8 of them, found like a possum or something on the way to church. And my grandpa just like went back in the house, got a gun, shot it, and like threw it to the dogs. And it's just like chill, normal story. So I feel like that it must be like a cultural thing. Just
Maybe
to give no fucks.
I mean, there's got to be like there's more contact, with wild animals, and more like rural areas and underdeveloped places because that's just how it is.
They really give no fucks. I went to Puerto Rico a few times, and they have a lot of stray dogs, and I feel like that would not happen in America. Like people would be taking in these dogs, housing them. But in Puerto Rico, no one cares. There's like cute little chihuahuas. No one cares. They're just like, it's a squirrel. It's like
chihuahuas.
What a squirrel is to us, that's what stray dogs are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just Puerto Rico or other places, but good stuff.
I've actually been in Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yeah. San Juan and God, what was that place called? It's hard to pronounce. Ponce.
Ponce, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like near where my grandparents used to live. Yeah.
After the hurricane, I went down there with like the guard, and
so
there was a lot of stray dogs, but we expected that, so I didn't realize that was just a thing.
Yeah, no.
Until just now, so I just thought like, damn. All
I mean, there's
dogs.
Probably more after that hurricane.
For sure.
Fuck.
Actually, I have a video. I'm probably not gonna be able to find it like in a good amount of time to show you right now, but I'll definitely find it and like figure out a way to show you later.
Yeah.
Of 2 dogs chasing an iguana like up a fence.
Nice.
Like they were about to eat this thing.
Yummy.
And it barely got away.
Oh my god.
Like barely.
I don't think that would be appetizing.
Yeah,
I don't like lizards. I don't think
they really cared.
I don't like lizards at all. I kind of killed my cousin's lizard when we were kids. I don't know why we're going down this path. It's very dark and fucked, but I have a fear of little squirrely, fast, lizardy things, and he had those like tiny geckos. I don't know, the little green ones.
Yeah.
And he knew I was terrified of it. He brought it to me, and he let it jump on me, and it jumped on my back, and my first instinct was to just smash my back against the wall. So that's what I did, and then like it died. It didn't die immediately. It like held on for a few days, and then it died.
Days.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he kind of like was like, "You just killed my lizard."
Yeah.
Yeah, fun story.
Yeah. Well, hey.
Just for funsies.
Life expectancy on those things can be very high anyway. They're tiny, easily predatory. They don't really, they don't change color or nothing like that. They don't, they just get ate.
Yeah.
Wild.
The big ones are wild to me. Like the someone could keep that as a pet is
crazy.
Crazy. That's gonna ease your child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait, well, you said you were in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
You went to help specifically with like efforts after the hurricane.
Yeah, it was weird. I low-key feel like it was just like they wanted to help, like Ohio wanted to send people to help because we got there. Honestly, we didn't do anything for a while. We hung out. I started a bunch of new shows. I was like writing a book.
Nice.
We played Dungeons. I played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. That was great.
Wow.
Because we were just like in this warehouse for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just working out and like sleeping in cots, showering with a water hose.
But they didn't have like a lot of assignments for you guys.
Yeah, well, it was like we would go do something for like 2 weeks, and then we would just kind of wait around for 2 weeks, and then go do something for 2 weeks, and then wait around for like a week, and then it was kind of it got rolling for a bit, and then we end up leaving. We were there 2.5 months.
2.5 months.
But it definitely started off slow.
Yeah.
Which I mean, just to be a part of that experience was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like the people were like so nice, and like they would try to give us stuff, and it was like, yo, like we're here to like help you guys. We brought water. Like, why are you giving me water? Like, so it was just like it was crazy to just see like how people bounce back from like natural. Because like, I remember hearing about Katrina, but I was young. I seen it on the news, but it didn't affect me. I didn't understand really what it means to like go through. I mean, I didn't go through it, but like just being so close to the aftermath was just like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah. Wow, what was I gonna say? Damn it. My brain's a little funky sometimes. The PTSD. I have a thought and then it's like, what the fuck? No. Fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh, I remember I don't remember what the hurricane was called. Maria? The one that like really rocked Puerto Rico in like 2017.
I think so. That was when I went.
I remember I was on Facebook during that time, so this is way back. I saw videos of people like in the midst of this storm, like everything's crumbling behind them and they're out dancing in the street. And it was just a celebration. It's like, this is like, you shouldn't be celebrating anything right now. Everything is destroyed. But that's like very Puerto Rican spirit culture, is just joy, a lot of dancing, a lot of celebration. And I miss that low key. I grew up with that with my family, but you know, we've all kind of like spread out and moved away from each other. And I really miss that culture.
Yeah. Not a lot of driving skills though.
Oh my God.
Yo, I chalked it up to like the hurricane, so I don't know truly, but like the worst.
No, I think you're onto something.
I've ever seen in my life. I seen a school bus turn left on a 4-lane road, and it was in the 3rd lane from the left, and it just went shoot with kids in it. And I was like, yo, what? What are we doing? And I was so glad I didn't have to drive, because we had super like limited transportation. So you were either where you slept for the day, or you were at work for the day. And I was like, you know, you were there 12 hours, and it's just I think it was 12, 10. I can't remember. Our day was weird. My job was weird. So like my job didn't line up with what everyone like else, like their timelines. It was weird, but funky. It's a great experience. I freaking loved it. I freaking loved it. I don't know you're Puerto Rican. That's cool.
Yeah, my dad is Black. My mom is full Puerto Rican. Both my grandparents on her side are. They actually lived there up until they started having kids. So I have 9, including my mom. There's 9 kids. She's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandparents immigrated. I don't even know if it's technically immigration, if Puerto Rico's like a
I don't think so.
Territory, but they're not from here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope. I want to go back. I want to go back one day.
Yeah. I think I'm going back soon.
I like the range, how you kind of like topic your videos. How you seem to do like kind of like a 2-point, and you kind of just do it, and then it seems like it's like a workout. It looks like when someone's working out, and it's like, you know, they may not get to the gym for a few more days, so they just here, this is everything, this is what I got.
Yeah, leg day, arm day.
Yeah, exactly.
Cardio.
Just pushing it, and then just, you know, they say like leave it on the mat, or, you know, leave it on the court, or whatever, you know. I don't know. But one of my favorites was, you were talking about like awareness and being aware, and like being like in your thoughts and stuff. And I think about people like everyday life, their level of self-awareness. Like yesterday or today in the rain, there's a lady in a parking lot. Like, this is a parking lot of a plaza, multiple places where my gym's at. There's like a hair salon, there's another gym, there's a daycare, there's a school, there's all kinds of stuff.
All the things.
It's a parking lot, but she's in the road. I don't even know if she has her hazards. I think she might have had her hazards on, just like shuffling through stuff right after a turn. So it's like people are turning and then like having to immediately stop because she didn't drive like 5 more feet and just park, or like, you know, do that just at least in the like parking part, not the part where people are driving through.
Yeah.
And so how do you, because I'm like, I know how I've kind of tried to, you know, get myself to be more aware of like what I'm doing, but I don't know what like other people do, if they do anything, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I know some of them don't. I know some of them do. So I'm wondering, like, how did you get to that point?
Developing a sense of awareness. I think I'm a very not retrospect. I like to think about what happened and learn from it. And I've always been like that. Wow. How did I learn awareness? Honestly, just like fucking a lot of shit up. Just having a lot of bad experiences. And processing other people's life. Like, oh, they did this, it affected me like that. So I don't want to be like that in the future. I'm gonna make sure I'm less this. I'm pretty self-conscious, which is like a bad side of awareness. And I can also be very judgmental of other people when I see them like lacking awareness. I'm like, ew, that's gross. I don't know. It's just most of my awareness comes from having gone through shit and coming to conclusions based on what I've gone through. Yeah, a lot of that is relationships. Like having fucked up experiences in relationships and then processing like what I did that contributed to the fucked up shit, you know, and self exploration and trying to be a better person. That's like always been my goal in life.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Just want to be better always for no reason.
I mean, there's a reason. I feel like back to your question about, perfectionists. It's like, I think I just read something like this. I have this book, The Daily Stoic, and I always talk about it in literally almost every video because
Nice.
I read it every day. So it's like,
Yeah.
it helps me. But there's this passage about perfectionism, and it's saying like, be pragmatic about it. Know what you can make perfect and what you can't. It's like, what can you strive? Because even if you try to make it better, it's going to be better. And even if it'll never be perfect, if it's always closer, then I mean, there's nothing to complain about. Especially if it's something that you can't control fully, or something that is just not like that thing that's gonna be perfect. Because I feel like there's some stuff where I'm like, okay, this has like my workouts like that's I've been working out for years. Like if I can't go to the gym and like then all the other stuff like editing and everything else gets out of whack, because those are things that I'm trying to like add versus, I've been, gym is easy,
Right.
I guess if that makes
Interesting.
any sense.
Yeah, no. I think I'm a weird kind of perfectionist. It's almost something I don't identify with. And, they say Virgos are like very much perfectionists. And I've always disassociated with that because I am and I'm not. Like you said, the gym is easy for you. The gym for me is like one of the hardest fucking things. I don't like committing to things. And so like my working out for me is easier when there's no plan and I'm just winging it. It's like intuitive. It's like, okay, how do I want to move my body today? And I'll just do some weird, like, I don't know, making shit up. Because coming up with like a plan and sticking to it and a routine, really hard for me. So yeah, like I am a perfectionist, but I'm not. I'm a perfectionist in, again, like a very relational way. I want to be helpful to people and I want to have like as much wisdom and knowledge about life as possible to be helpful. And I'm a perfectionist in that way, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Because like you're perfectionist about what you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved fitness and like bodybuilding to the point where, so even like before I was a kitchen manager, I worked in like this little desk job doing data collection. And we couldn't listen to music when you first started because it's like you got to learn a job and do all this stuff. Well, eventually you could listen to music, but there's only so much music you could listen to, and I got tired of just the same stuff. So then I started listening to like not comedy podcast, stand-up comedy on Pandora.
Nice.
My buddy was like, I listen to stand-up, so we just send each other like these stand-up bits that we would hear in like the little chat, because he was 2 cubicles down from me, but we would just like type these little jokes to each other that we heard. That so I would listen to like hours of stand-up, and then that kind of rolled over into like more like podcasts and stuff too. But then YouTube was really big on like fitness. And I just would listen to these like fitness videos and stuff about workouts. And I was also at one point kind of studying to be a personal trainer.
Okay.
So I've always just been like super, passionate about like staying active and staying healthy.
That makes sense.
So it's like I get down to like the nitty gritty where like I will type out like my daily routines and how many reps I plan on doing and all that. Like I'm not doing that right now. I can't do that for very long.
Okay.
I'll kind of like, pace myself. I'll go hard and then I'll kind of back up and then just do kind of what I feel like doing. But there's times where I will like get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And I just obsess over every
you feel like
single
you're more
thing.
generally like a planned, you have to have a plan person, or you just kind of go with the flow?
I have to have an idea when I go in. Otherwise I won't make up my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So like I also work out high. Like I smoke every single time I go to the gym.
How do you survive?
Right. Every single time. And I've lost weight. I've gotten stronger and I've gotten like longer cardio sessions over the course of the year.
Being
every single time. I don't think I've missed a workout high in almost about a year. I don't know exactly because I honestly didn't plan to. It just kind of started, and before I knew it, I was like, "Yo, I don't remember." I remember I was running low, and I was like, I don't know if I could work out. I was like, I don't know if I could.
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of like rationing for like a week. And then I was back to like my normal routine, and I was like, okay, this is right where I need to be.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
But I think I just work out hard. I just I cardio a lot.
Yeah.
I cardio a lot. I should get a t-shirt. I cardio a lot.
Like just running, like a treadmill or what?
I like boxing. I like that.
Oh my God, I want to get into boxing.
Yeah, like we don't have like classes. I mean, they have classes, but I just like the heavy bag.
Yeah.
So I started doing like literally I could only do like 4 or 5 minutes and I'd be like gassed.
It's exhausting.
Now I warm up for about 15 minutes before I even touch the bag.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like I'll get on the rower and do 1,200 meters and then jump rope and then go hit the bag for like 20 minutes.
That's crazy.
Whereas when I started, I could only do like 4 minutes. But the whole time I'm just like in my own little world.
How did you get into boxing?
Oh, I've always liked fighting. I wrestled in high school. I've always liked fighting. I've always enjoyed being the tough guy because I've always been a protector. And I feel that, if someone is with me, like friend, girl, whatever, guy, group of people, I've always like been protective. Yeah. And so I've always took pride in that. And so that's something that, and also I like knowing that I can protect myself. Like there's like a weird feeling you get sometimes when you're in public and someone's being weird and they're being like crazy and you're like, what, is there a situation? And I don't get as nervous.
Yeah.
And the more fit I am, the more
it builds your confidence.
And yeah, like, and people always like tell me, they're like, hey man, I see you by, they think I train somewhere. So they'll ask me like, hey, where you train? I'm like, here. They're like, no, really, where you train? I'm like, here on this heavy bag. This is all I do.
Exactly.
But that's the only thing I do though. So I get perfect at it because if I do something weird, I'm like, I'm not body that was stupid. Let me try that again.
You're your own like trainer. And
I'll just do something over and over again until it feels comfortable. And then every now and then someone will see it. And if there's a few people that I know what they're talking about and they'll give me a pointer.
Yeah.
The guy that owns the gym or the general manager is like a pro fighter. He does like jiu-jitsu and all this stuff. So he's giving me some pointers and like, I'll take his pointers. I'm like, yo, that makes a whole lot more sense. I'm like, what was I doing? Right. He showed me something 2 days ago. I'm like, what the fuck was I just doing? And he showed me that. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna do this now. And then I'm not gonna necessarily, do a bunch of other stuff. I'm just gonna do this until I get good at this. And then I'll throw it in with the other things. So I can only do like a handful of things really well, but I just keep doing those things and over and over again.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up boxing because that's something I have been always interested in. And for similar reasons, like I wouldn't say I'm a fighter. Like I've never like really engaged in fighting, but I have this like feeling that I could be. And I have a lot of anger problems. Like I'm an Aries rising, so I'm very hot-headed, and I just have a hard time controlling my anger. And I actually was in anger management classes when I was in high school. It was more harmful than helpful because they had me, I was like 13 in class with like 17-year-olds who were like doing worst shit.
Oh yeah,
and it just gave me like the best ideas.
That's not even close to like the same level of anger and how you take that anger out.
Yeah, no, I was like taking notes of like cool shit they were saying, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that.
Just learning how to be a better delinquent.
Yes.
That was a delinquent like a seminar. It's like a little delinquent seminar for you.
Yeah, it was great.
You get the pros in the business.
But I just want to be able to fuck somebody up if I need to. And oh my God, sometimes I don't even know why I'm saying this out loud, but like I fantasize. I'm not a bad person. I just want to say that.
Before you finish your sentence, me too. Whatever you're going to say, I also do the same thing, but say it so they know what you're going to say, but I know what you're going to say because I do the same thing.
If I think about somebody I have a problem with, which is like very, very few people, and I just get in my head about like, oh, if they said this to me, I would like, and I feel it in my body, like this anger, like I would, but I actually don't know how to, so I want to like learn how to fuck somebody up if I needed to.
Yeah.
I think I have like a lot of natural strength, but I just need some like skill in there so I don't get fucked up.
Right. No, that makes sense.
That'd be so embarrassing. And also being queer and dating women. Like the way this world is going, the way this world has been, I'm just going to end up fighting some man someday. And I don't want to get my ass kicked.
That's fair. That's fair.
I need to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, more than box, I'm biased. I'm biased because I wrestled in high school. So like the value, I feel like wrestling in high school gave me more like, and just, fucking around with friends or like a couple of scraps that I've been in.
Yeah.
That gave me way more like advantage over anybody.
Interesting.
So like, honestly, like jujitsu or something like that would be something to look at because it's the leveler. Like boxing is like there's a lot to like weight that goes behind a punch and stuff like that. But with like grappling, you can do a lot with a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean that might be something to look at.
My favorite, this is just pure fantasizing that I've done, but I don't think I would be somebody to throw a lot of punches. I'm just gonna like try to choke you out like immediately because I don't want to engage. That's exhausting, like throwing punches, blah blah blah. I just want you to stop.
Yeah, just stop.
So I'm gonna.
And it's more like peaceful too. Like I had to break up a fight at Scully's one time.
Oh, Scully's is a place where that would happen.
And the crazy thing is that I wasn't drunk or anything. I was sober, luckily, because some guy was in front of me and he was almost twice my size and hit some guy like smaller than me, and I just kind of see him from just the side, just hit, and I'm like, yo, what? And I just grabbed this guy and like drag him over to the bouncer, and it wasn't, he wasn't like fighting back. I think he was just too drunk to really even, he was just like whatever. Yeah. But it was just like in the moment, I'm like, okay, like I'm in control of being in control of another human is hard. That's what it is. It's people don't realize like controlling another person's movements and like dictating like you're not gonna move here is difficult. Like, and it seems easy when you see people do it, but especially when someone's like, the situations you would find yourself in as a regular person that's peaceable, like we are, is usually if someone is out of control. You know what I mean? It's like it's usually not when like it's probably if someone else was like doing some just wild shit and it's like, okay, like I got to do something about this, or I got to get this person off of somebody or something like that. So it's like in those moments, you're not dealing with someone that's like, even the guy that I stopped, he was super chill. Like it's probably going to be someone that's like, like a little crazy.
Yes.
And dealing with that's the tough part.
Right.
You get like an elbow and you're like,
I don't
oh,
want
shoot.
that. Have you ever been arrested?
Oh my God. I knew we were going to talk about this. I don't know how I knew, but okay. All right. So I've never been to jail.
Okay.
This is how much I like food.
Okay. Did you say food? Okay.
I've never been to jail. However, I did go to juvie once.
Same.
I fought a kid. And we didn't even fight. I like kind of pushed him down the stairs, but he like kind of ran into like he hit this other girl and like gave her like this really bad bruise. She was an innocent bystander.
Yeah.
It was really bad. She was very pretty. And I think that like ruined it for me for sure. But so, but we had like police, like security in our school for whatever reason. It was in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And yeah, they took me and the kid to juvie. So
sad.
I got arrested, and yeah, my dad had to come pick me up.
You didn't even get in a fight, or you just witnessed?
Kinda. No, like it was me and him. Like, so the kid took my cookie at lunch. I think I forgot to add that part.
Okay.
I forgot to add that part. The kid took my cookie at lunch. I got upset, and I thought that was the right time to prove that I was tough.
Yeah.
And so I said I was going to fight him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we just argued through the hallway and up the stairs. And before you knew it, we kind of, I don't even think I don't know if there were any punches. I don't remember hitting him. I don't remember getting hit. I remember kind of pushing him, and I just happened to be a couple stairs higher.
Yeah.
And he kind of like fell a bit.
Oh.
And I mean, it wasn't like a ton. There was other students. It was kind of like he got caught, by somebody. But yeah, no, they put us in the same holding cell, which was weird.
That is so fucked.
We came back chill though. Like we were like telling stories.
Nice.
About
Just became friends.
The little community toilet and everything.
How long were you in juvie?
No, literally like not a whole night. Wow. My dad came and got me that night. Why
did they even take you to juvie?
I literally don't know.
I don't understand.
It was like
that.
It was an inner city school in Indianapolis. Like beats me. I was in middle school. Mm-hmm. That's the crazy thing. It was middle school.
Yeah, that shit doesn't make sense. To
me.
What?
I think it was like some scared straight type shit.
I think so. I think our world, like our consciousness has grown a lot collectively. And I think at that time it was just more like what you're saying, like scare them straight. There was like a show called Scare Straight. And I watch that now and I'm like, this is fucking abusive.
It's crazy.
Like, they're abusing these kids.
Especially when there's prison shows that like will show you what it's really like. And it's like, just watch the real one.
Yeah.
From the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
You just see these like kids getting, and most of them come from like really fucked up families. Like these kids don't need justice. They need like a hug and love.
Right.
And someone to be there, not like throw them in a fucking jail. Whatever. I was arrested once upon a time. Also, it was the day before my freshman year of high school. And I went to my friend's house when I wasn't supposed to. And her mom wouldn't take me back home. So I had to call my mom. My mom didn't want me to leave in the first place. So she's mad. She came and she got me with this whole fucking thing. And I was such a badass little kid. It makes me happy because I love that part of me. I was just very rebellious. And we got home and I was just like, Mom, why the fuck? Like, why did you show up like this? She brought my uncle. It was a whole scene. They like swatted me. And I was just like, you can't do that. Don't fucking do. And she just like would not ever listen to me. This is actually very traumatic. Like anytime I would try to call her out on any bullshit, she would just walk away from me or just pretend she couldn't hear me. And like, that shit still triggers me to this day if someone does that. Anyway, so she like was just ignoring me on her way to bed. And I stood in her doorway of her room and I was like, you're not fucking going to bed. I'm talking to you. And then she was just trying to like get by me. And then I just shoved her, like not a push, like a little shove. And she was just irritated and fed up with me. And she called the cops. And then the cop came and he was like, yeah, so, I mean, I could technically take you to jail right now. And I was like, fuck it, I'll go to jail. And
you're like, what, 14?
Yeah. Oh, 13.
13?
Yeah, because I was always young in school. Yeah, so
that's
basically he arrested me because I was snotty.
You get arrested for being a brat. That's literally like crazy.
And I think about that now, like, oh my God, like, what did he have to prove? Why would you do that? It fucked up. I don't know. I had a rough time in high school. Not because I was like, I'm like actually pretty intelligent, but I just have a hard time with authority and effort. Like, oh, you want me to study this? I don't want to study this. This is kind of pointless. I want to go get high with my friends because that sounds like a better time. So that was my high school experience.
Did you recently move? Because in one of your videos, you said you were living somewhere.
Lovely.
No, I really, like I said, I really watched them.
No, oh my God.
You said you were living somewhere and it didn't feel like it was your home. And I was like, I wonder if that's because she just moved in, and if it just like didn't have very much stuff there, and you know you're still kind of feeling out, or if it was like you were living with someone, or because there's a lot of things that can like cause that. Because I've had that feeling multiple times for different reasons.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of curious, like what
that was.
Yeah.
Wild. Wild. Okay. I haven't even processed it. Well, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I was in a relationship for most of 2022. We started dating like January. And then girls in relationships that U-Haul, you've heard that term, like lesbians U-Haul. I don't like the term lesbian. It's fucking weird. I don't like it. I just say queer. But so we started dating January. We were living together by like fucking March. It's very quick. And so I lived with her, and that was like my home. That didn't really feel like home either. I don't know that it felt like home to her either, which is probably why it didn't feel like home to me.
That makes sense.
And then that relationship ended, and I had to like move out, but I was also leaving for tour. So I just like quickly got a place where I live now, and then immediately left for tour. Like I moved in, left for tour, and I was gone for like
left for tour.
Yeah, like 2 months on. It was like it was just like a production thing. Like we were showing a film in different venues across like the West Coast.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm not in a band or anything cool like that. I wish. Yeah, it was a cool experience, but I had to come back from that high of like traveling, seeing different places, meeting new people, and then coming back to fucking Columbus. I don't have a fucking girlfriend anymore. I don't live in the same place. I'm coming home to nothing, no one, literally. Like Joe and Ariel and another friend of mine, they decorated my place. They put lights up, and that was like the only thing in my place when I got back was their decorations. And if that didn't happen, I would have been so depressed just coming home to like emptiness. But yeah, I think I've cultivated a sense of home there now. It just was symbolic of losing shit, and I hated it. I hated being there, and I was so alone.
I know exactly. I moved in here after a breakup, so like going through that and coming home, and I would sometimes like leave like music playing or leave the TV on or something, just so when I came home it wasn't like dark.
Shit's depressing.
Or like leave like it just fucking sucked. You know, I was used to coming home and there's a person there or a dog or whatever, and it's just like it is like
family.
Oh, it's dark and cold, and then I'm thinking and I'm replaying all the stupid shit I did, and I totally
relatable.
Feel that.
Yeah, fuck. Have you talked about that relationship on a podcast before?
Very briefly. I brought up, what was I talking about in the video? I don't even remember what video it was. But so I wasn't faithful in my last relationship, and that was a big part of like kind of my like self-awareness journey, was confronting like confronting my shadow. I think I can't remember if you did you mention that or something? I can't remember. I think
shadow work.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Maybe.
And I don't know if that's what that is per se, but just as like the definition of like the shit that I was afraid to look in the mirror, and the tough
that's
questions.
Very important to go through. Yeah.
And so I just started asking myself the tough questions and shit, of like why I felt the way I did, why I did the things I did, why I was doing the stuff I was currently doing, and why I thought of life the way I thought of it.
Yeah, I feel like we're very similar, like in very similar places in life, or having gone through similar shit. This is exactly what I've gone through. I wasn't unfaithful in my last relationship, but this is so fucked. Oh my God. It's a lot easier to process alone because you don't have to like say out loud like your fucking crimes, I just like, okay, my last relationship, great girl, beautiful on the inside and out, like just a solid, beautiful girl. But my relationship before her was the most fucking abusive, chaotic shit I've ever been through in my life. And it was significant and it fucked me up. Like when I went into that relationship, I was like in church or like kind of coming out of church. It was very like just good, you know? And then she fucked me. She got me good and turned me into this little like toxic queen. And I carried that into my next relationship. And not only that, but like in this past relationship, we parented together. So I had this connection with her child. And I carried that into my new relationship, like trying to still co-parent with someone who was very abusive to me. And honestly, like for some reason, she can just like manipulate the fuck out of me. Like, I don't know what it is, but like no one gets to me the way that she does. And she just like, I feel like a fucking puppet. And anyway, so that was just a lot of baggage to carry into a new relationship. And I was still trying to figure out how to be in my ex's life with her kid. And it wasn't good. She was like always coming on to me, like, and not even because she was like genuinely like wanting me. It was just like, I don't like what you have, this new person, this new thing, this new life. I'm lonely or I feel some kind of way. I don't know how genuine she was, but she just kind of like sabotaged my new relationship. And I mean, I wasn't perfect either. Like I fully loved the attention and had horrible boundaries. And that just caught up to me in the end and kind of ruined my new relationship. It's something that I fucking think about every day. And I hate myself. Like, I could never redo that because I learned so much. And I hate the person that I was that allowed like this poor boundary relationship to happen. Because it just ruined good shit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, I didn't realize this. And cause I've literally had, you know, a person tell me, you know, my ex-wife, you know, told me, you know, that we drifted apart. And I was like, okay, like I didn't really see that coming, but all right. And then in my last relationship, like where like we both kind of saw it. I was like, we're definitely drifting apart. And the reasoning for that, like obviously is like what I did, but it's more about, and I don't want to not say more about, but partially on like my end about like what I'm thinking about. Like it's like that. It's like I'm always paranoid. I'm always thinking about it. I'm always like you know, in a constant state of like guilt. So then you try to like overcompensate, and then you compromise yourself because you're like guilty about something, and then you're not happy with the person, but you're also not happy with yourself.
Yeah,
because it's your fault in the first place, and it's just like this like circle that just kind of keeps spinning until you know somebody does something to you know yank the cord.
Right. So you were unfaithful and then you stayed together?
So yeah, I kind of got caught, but I wasn't honest about it for a while. And so we stayed together, and then it just eventually just got like stale, and it just wasn't like, it was like we were roommates.
Yeah.
But a lot of that, you know, even like she's clearly like she kind of suspected it along the way, and I denied it, but and it was like, even if she wouldn't have known, like it still would have, I think it still would have like happened, just because like you can't be fully present with someone if you're like, if you see like a car and you're like, oh shit, is that you're like walking into a restaurant and you're like, is this bitch in this restaurant? Like it's just, you can't like enjoy the person you're with.
It's like a sense of guilt, like
you
you
know
said.
what I mean? So it's like, I'm not trying to like, you know, woe is me. It's like, you know, you put yourself through something like that, but then that feeds into stuff that's, you know, like self-hate. And then, you know, when there's no one else around to distract you. Because my thing is just like, I've never, beyond even that, like I've just never dealt with a lot of shit. I've always been distracted. You know, it's like I was married, and then when I was married, I was, you know, we were part of this group, and I'm like leading this thing. So it's like I'm going from that to the military, and then well, that wasn't full time, but like working like, multiple jobs because I was doing the guard while I was working.
Yeah.
And then I went into management. So now I'm like responsible. Now I'm responsible off the clock. And I had a conference call today. I'm at the gym and I forgot I had a conference call. I'm like, shit, I got to wrap this workout up so I can get this conference. So it's like, I just never had time to like think about stuff. I was always distracted. And then when I was at home, it's like, all right, as soon as I get home, TV's on, YouTube, Netflix, something, podcasts, music, whatever. Just, I would just play video games. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was just fucking a waste of life. The first like maybe 3 to 4 months
after your breakup.
Yeah.
To distract yourself. And then do you feel like you had like a introspective moment where you had less distractions and could process?
It was kind of like a slow snowball. No, it was it was like a bonfire. It was like a thing that like is like a small ember, and I just kind of kept like throwing little sticks in it. Eventually it just, eventually I looked, I'm like, oh shit, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it started with like stoicism, getting into that, because I started like looking practically. Actually, no, I'll take that back. Well, how many people, when you said you were going to start a YouTube channel, did you tell people? And like, how many of them said like, oh, like I'll do, like, I hope you like, they like wanted to kind of like tag in. Like I had a lot of people like, oh yeah, like, like we could like, yeah, I could help you start a podcast. It's like, yeah, right. You say that, but like,
I don't like sharing stuff like that with people.
No, that makes sense. I feel like I definitely overshare, and I've cut back severely.
Yeah. People will kill your dream so fast.
Well, not only that, but did you know like there's in your brain, there's like this similar chemical, like the dopamine levels. I don't know. It's the way I understand science is I figure out what it means and then I apply it to my life. And then if it rings true, I just keep doing it. So it's like, I don't remember how to explain everything because all I need to know is what do I need to do to get the result I need to get?
Literally
right?
Same.
So there's basically in your brain, if you like tell people like your plans that you're excited about, it can release the same amount of like dopamine and satisfaction as if you actually did it. So, and I even told a friend of mine this because he real big into fitness and he was posting pictures and we were talking about, some self-image stuff and, and I was just like, take time off, take 30 days, don't post anything. Just, and I've been wanting to post so bad because I've lost 50 pounds. I've been working hard and I'm like, you know what? I'm not.
That's amazing.
Wait, I'm still holding out. I'm like 15 more pounds and I'm going to do some before and afters or something cool, little like motivation video or something.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to do some like, boxing, clips or, just whatever, just to try to like, get people hyped. Cause it's a part of like everything that, I do, but yeah, it's just like, I thought I had it. I lost it. I took a breath and I was like, find it.
Yeah, no, it's gone. You're saying like dopamine when you talk about it.
Yeah. So it's like you shouldn't. I agree with like your method for sure. Because I overshare, but I've gotten better because of that. Because of like, all right, people kill your dreams, and then also you kill your dreams. Like, I've told so many people so many things.
Oh my God, same.
They've been supportive, and I've just never like followed through.
Because you get the validation that you want in that moment when you're talking about it. And then it's like, okay, I don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
And I like when I kind of goes back to like what we were saying about being a Virgo. If I can't fucking be perfect and execute this perfectly, like I'm not even going to try. And I need a lot of support. Like I don't like doing things alone. I like having partnerships in all the things, except for like my personal life and my like emotional journey. I'd rather do that alone. But yeah, I've tried to partner with so many friends. Like, oh yeah, we'll start this production thing. We'll start this YouTube channel. And it just never goes anywhere. And it's fucking frustrating because like I'm very creative and I'm a good like leader. And I want to use those skills. And it's just don't have any place to put them. And I want to like own it. You know what I mean? Like I want to build the thing. So yeah.
I know what you mean. I think a lot of that comes from like people like rushing and just like wanting to be the vision without like the whole journey.
The hard work.
And I feel like even with like spiritual stuff, I feel like that was I don't know where they're at now. I'm not gonna say the name, the organization that we were, that we met each other in, but it just kind of seems like everything was so gung ho and like go for this big thing that, the original vision of like what was it supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then it just like you just moved to another state. It's just kind of like you're just doing a lot.
Wow.
And I feel like that's one thing I've learned. I feel like after like over 30, especially this last year, but I feel like the last few years, I've really learned to like see time differently. It's like you have time to do things. Like there's certain things you don't have time for, especially, biologically as a woman for babies and stuff, but there's certain things that like you have time. And like that's why like my plan for all that is just to focus on just this. Like it is a legitimate plan I have, but not in a way that I'm doing it now. Because I got to do this. This is the proof of concept.
Yeah.
This is my training. This is me. Cause like, I didn't go to school for any of this stuff.
Right.
I wasn't doing this stuff when I was 5, 10 years old. Like a lot of these people are like, oh, I've been doing this. It's like, I've been in the restaurant, I've been in the military, I've been doing all kinds of shit.
Right.
So it's like, this is me honing and like catching up. This is me catching up to like the kind of the creative, getting back to the creative space of where I should have stayed and then going from there. And I don't know. I feel like it's okay to take time on the roots.
Yeah.
And because at some point you may still like, you'll feel like, man, I'm still doing roots. Like, what the, like, we haven't got anywhere. And like, you look down, you're like, holy shit, I'm a foot off the ground. The trunk started, dog. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that plagues 20-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
It's great. Like, especially in church. Like,
oh god,
I'm young. I gotta get married and have kids. Like,
yeah,
wow.
they make you grow up so fast.
God, why are we doing this?
And they make you like very productive oriented. I don't know. Like you need results all the time.
Yeah.
For everything.
I feel like at first I used to feel like I wasted too much time in my 20s. And then I feel like it's okay. I at least learned a lot. And even if it didn't apply the lessons I learned, I'm applying more now than I would normally. So it's like, it's just like, just waiting for just procrastinating, just cramming life in my 30s.
Dude, 20s are just about fucking shit up.
Yeah, like you're gonna mess stuff up.
Yeah, like you shouldn't even try.
But the stakes are so low. No one realizes the stakes are so low in their 20s.
Like so many times.
You can start over.
Even at 40 and 50, you can just start over.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Gary Vee at all?
Yes, and not. He doesn't like flood my feed. He's on there. Like I follow him on Instagram, so he definitely pops up.
Yeah.
But like before I started doing this, I was barely on. Like, so I hated social. I couldn't really tell you how it worked. Like, nice. And it's weird because like I know how social media works, kind of like on like the creator level.
Yeah,
I'm not an expert, but like I understand it more than I do the consumer level. Like I don't know how to work the apps the same way, but like I'd be posting shit. Like, so you would think that like, oh, like I have no clue.
Interesting.
I'm so lost. But so I'm barely ever on there. But yeah, no, like I think he talks a lot about that, like the time. Like you have so much time.
He always has like 20-year-olds, like 11-year-olds, like very motivated people coming to him like, man, I just feel like I'm not where I want to be, blah, blah, blah. And what he says consistently is like, you have so much time. Like if you're 25, 35, like if you've got 75, 80 years on this planet, like, you've got a lot of fucking time to grow, to start over, to redo something. Like stop beating yourself up about it. And when he says it in his way, it's like, it makes so much sense.
Because he doesn't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
People try to sugarcoat, and like I hated growing up and people saying like, oh, after your 30s, it's like all downhill.
Who the fuck?
And it's like, yeah, for some of y'all maybe, but I felt great.
What life were they living? I don't feel that way at
That's
all.
what it's like. Yeah, it's like I'm about to be 33 in a month, and I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in. Like, I mean, I have those creaks, you know what I mean? Like takes me a little longer to warm up, but I can enjoy it. And so that I feel like that's the main thing. It's like, what's the point if you don't enjoy it? And getting to that point is getting to that point is harder than doing whatever the great thing is. You know, like anybody can do a thing that will make them great. Not a lot of people can do a thing that'll make them happy. Because
Fair.
people often do things that are the opposite of making them happy.
That is very fair. I think our generation has kind of reconstructed like time and aging. Because like 30s for like our parents' generation, they were like, you have 4 kids, you're working this job you fucking hate, but it supports your family. Our generation is not about that. Like a kid, what is a kid?
Right?
I don't have no way. Like, and they were having us so young, like they're young 20s. No wonder we're fucked up because there's no way even now at like 20, I'm about to be 29. I cannot imagine having to parent a child. I feel like I'm still parenting myself, which is like what we're saying. I think taking time and realizing you have time actually makes the end product better because you're not rushing it. Yeah. And there's a foundation there. It's like built on something solid. I'm giving myself like a revelation because I like to rush the fuck out of everything. Wow. Sometimes you just need to chill and wait and build slowly.
For sure. I'm gonna write a few books. Like you ever think about like writing a book and then you realize you're like, no, I'm gonna have to write it. I'm gonna have to do a couple. I'm gonna have to this. It's not. Isn't there like a lyric to a song, "Life is a Highway," right? It's like life is a highway. And I learned something. About life because my car doesn't have cruise control. So like cruise control I usually use on like trips to, you know, get better gas mileage, right? So like I would always play this game of like getting the right gas mileage without cruise control, even on like a long, you know, 2-hour drive. I'm like playing with it. And so I would like learn like on the hills, I'd speed up. And then as I go up the hill, I know when to kind of like start letting off the gas so it wouldn't burn as much gas and I just use momentum to kind of get up. And I've been in like these situations where like life was just going. And I'm like, yeah, I got to ride this if I can just get, and I would kind of like see like my schedule and see, you know, what was going on. And I would like say, okay, if I can get to that day, after that day, that's my downhill. And that's where I'm like, and I would do that with kind of like my weeks and my days and just kind of be like, I would know when to like overexert and I would know when like, okay, I should be able to rest.
Yeah.
And somehow kind of find like my own flow in that.
Yeah. So did you say you were writing a book?
Okay. So yeah, I'm writing a sci-fi book first.
Fun.
Maybe not first. I don't know when the order will happen is. Okay. I'm writing one now, but it's like it's fiction. Yeah. But eventually I guess like a self-help book or just like I don't dislike the term self-help or like self-improvement, but there needs to be something more that like encompasses that. Because I feel like self-help is just like one-dimensional. It's like, okay, get your finances in order. Or like, you know, get your mind in order, get your health in order. It's just like all those things are tied together.
They really are.
You know, like me getting my finances was tied to paying for DoorDash Pass every month, which was taken from my bank account because every week I would make sure I got my money's worth and get it. I would order at least once a week just because I had DoorDash Pass. And it's like I'm just spending money on food, not losing weight, spending money on food, hating myself because I'm not like I wasn't fat, but I wasn't where I wanted to be.
Right.
But it's like there's more to self-help than just like a topic or like a thing.
Right.
It's almost got to be like life help. I mean, you gotta consider the whole thing. Yes. Otherwise, like you'll miss so much.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of like, I have a lot of mental health problems, but when I look back, like it makes sense. And there's very like practical solutions. Like it makes sense that I'm depressed. Like my childhood, my mom always worked. And then when she was home, she was just not there. Like she's emotionally unavailable. She was angry because like her life was shit. And then like she didn't do anything with me. I just wasted away in my room, like coming up with creative shit. And like that makes sense now with the problems that I have. Like I have a hard time starting things and motivating myself. And it makes sense that I'm depressed it's not just like, oh, you're depressed, take a pill. And no shade to people who take like medication. I was on sertraline forever, but like there's practical solutions, like going back, learning and unlearning all these habits to be able to get better. Because like it makes sense how I got here. So go backwards, undo the things that fucked me up.
Right.
Practical steps.
I like that. I've always thought that, but I mean, I've never been like diagnosed with any like, any mental illness or anything.
I love that for you.
I've dealt with my fair share of, shit, and I've considered the self-checkout aisle myself. But I like the way you put it, but like I was like, I've never said it. I feel like the first time I say it, if I try to say it, it'll just be weird.
Self-checkout.
So I was like, I came up with my own way to say it. Self-checkout. So I feel like I kind of can identify a little bit because it's not been all like roses and rainbows, but it's not been like, I've never been like, I can't get out of bed today. But I've always wondered, how much practical things would help. Not to say it would solve it, but I'm like, how much of just, taking a walk or, not, I always say, like, I talk about like weight loss and like, I would just eat fruit before I ate a snack. And it wasn't that I could like turn away, if I have snacks, I'm eating them. If I have Pop-Tarts, like I'm going to eat them. But if I eat a banana first, maybe I won't eat Pop-Tarts and a bowl of cereal. Maybe I'll just have the Pop-Tarts and then call it a night. So it's like, it wasn't that I was more disciplined. It's just, I would just kind of force myself and steer myself. And eventually it turned into discipline, but like, it didn't start that way. It started as me just going like, eat the banana, eat the grapes, and then go pig out on whatever else you want. And I just wouldn't be able to eat stuff.
I think it's like a combination of practical steps and also just realizing your brain's fucked up. It probably is going to be fucked up forever. unless you can go in there and somehow like restructure your whatever the fuck. I'm not a neuroscientist, but
neural pathways or something.
Yeah, like shrooms help, psychedelics help actually like create new pathways for your brain, but you just gotta realize you have the cards that you have, and like this is your fucking capacity. So what can you do practically, kind of curve that? Because just saying like, oh yeah, just go for more walks or that shit's hard.
Right.
Like when you're bed rotting and you're just like, I don't want to be here. It's so hard to go for a walk or just like eat better. I can't. I'm physically wanting to throw up every time I even think about food. So yeah, what was I even saying? It's learning to just, you're not really going to change the way you feel immediately, working with that with some practical things, and then the baby steps take you somewhere. You'll eventually feel better. I mean, you're probably not going to be like not depressed anymore. That's unrealistic. I just think that for me, unrealistic. I'm always going to be a little bit sad, a little bit wanting to go down the self-checkout aisle always, but just like, okay, maybe I'll just go to aisle 3 instead today,
Okay.
Not self-checkout. I love that term. I'm going to use that. I'm stealing that.
That's fine. I don't care.
I love actually like the self-checkout lanes. Whenever, I don't know how we existed before those.
It's crazy.
Like what the
It's
fuck?
crazy how simple. And the crazier thing is, it wasn't even like a COVID invention. Like we had it. We knew about it. We knew the technology existed.
Yeah.
And we just chose not to fully embrace it until we had to. And it was like, maybe we should just keep doing this shit, which, people probably lost their jobs. So, hey,
yeah. I was just going to say, there's like no one in the actual checkout lanes anymore. Like if you go to Kroger, there's no one there.
Which is crazy because like you only need the one person to just, check on stuff. So when you got the wait on attendant, you're just like, you know what I mean? It's like you ain't got a whole lot of stuff to do. You're not bagging, just I had somebody start bagging my stuff. Where was I at? It was a self-checkout one, kind of like Meyer has, where you put on the belt. But I think it was at like Kroger or something where they normally don't have it. And this guy, I didn't realize he was a worker. He just had like a jacket and a cowboy hat. Just starts grabbing my stuff while he's talking, and I'm like, what the hell? And then he's talking to like an employee, and I'm like, oh, he's like the manager. He's like, telling him something. I think he was like kind of getting on him for not like helping, because I think he was just like standing on his phone. But I don't know if I think he was a kid on break or something. I don't know what it was. It was kind of funny, but I was, of course, like mildly stoned. I'm usually just like a little bit, when I go shopping, just enough to deal with, especially if I gotta go to Walmart.
You get high to go shopping?
I smoke a lot.
Yeah, I could not function like that. I would be tweaking.
I'm a creature of habit. So like only when I'm doing like the same things. Like I do, the same grocery store. Like when I go to the gym, I use the same locker every single time.
That makes sense.
One time someone was using it, and right when I got there, they had just taken it out, and I had my stuff in one locker, and I was like, I'm just going to move all my shit over here, because otherwise I'll go to the wrong locker. Because it kind of allows me to be a little bit like loose with how much I have to like pay attention, because I'm I'm just lost in thought all the time, honestly. I'm just like, I'm always like processing stuff, like thinking about whatever.
The most random shit.
The most random.
Yeah.
Like thinking about I still haven't told the story that I thought about telling. No, or did I? No, that was about the food. That was about the jail thing. Like stuff like that. Like I was just thinking, like, it's not that I knew it. My thing is this: if I think about enough things, one of them will come true.
Yeah.
Just by literally, like today, I was cleaning the bathroom. I was like, I'm probably gonna end up talking about going to juvie today, and somehow it came up.
That's
and
wild.
I probably thought about like 5 other things that we might talk about. Obviously, I like questions and stuff lined up, and I love where the conversation is going. It's I like when it fits. Like I don't have to like look at like notes and stuff. But there's other things that like I probably thought about that I don't remember, that just didn't come up.
Yeah.
But it's just like if you throw enough stuff at a dartboard, like you'll hit all the squares eventually. You'll hit all little tiny little circles if you throw long enough.
Do you feel like you're an intuitive person where you can kind of like read people in situations? Because like what you're saying, like having just like a sense that we were going to talk about like something really fucking specific, that's wild to me. Like crazy. How does that even, and that happens to me all the time. I'll just be like, I'm going to see either this person, or I'll think of someone and I'm like, okay, they're going to reach out to me soon. And then they do. Or just random little things like that confirm that my thoughts aren't really random. Like I'm pulling from somewhere. And so I call that like intuition, I used to, when I was like more religious, like attach fucking so much more meaning to it. But now it's just, I'm intuitive and I just pick up on shit. And it helps you like know that you're on the right path in life. Because I feel like I call them like synchronicities. More synchronicities happen when you're doing the things that are going to take you where you want to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I love to say this because I love saying things that like are counter to like what people say. Like they say, don't judge a book by a cover. I say, judge a book by a cover and update that judgment as you read every page.
Yeah.
Right. Because a book cover is meant to tell you what the book is going to be. It's like, this is what this book is about. This is why you should read it. Here it is. And so, yes, judge the book, read it. And as you learn about it, make your own assumption about it. And so I see intuition, for me at least, it's more like just lightning fast calculations. I just essentially, I make rapid comparisons with like people, with places, with situations, and think about how those outcomes were, how these outcomes are, what could happen. And I like to just try to figure out, and as like every step goes, like try to figure out like, okay, where is this headed? Like what's going to happen? And I'll take note of like when I'm right and when I'm wrong. And I'm cool with either one. Like I enjoy being wrong and being like, okay, so this person did that. I wasn't expecting that, but this is why it makes sense. From from the knowledge that I have about them or whatever the situation is.
Right.
And I mean, that's helped me a lot with my job, just because I mean, I have people that I'm in charge of. Yeah. And I've got to, coexist with them, help them coexist with each other. And there's not a lot of room for error, when you're in charge of people, because the spotlight's on you, you mess up something and everyone's ready to tell you messed up.
Yeah,
and so
it's all like, on
you got to be okay with messing up, but then learning from it, and then still kind of showing the world that you've learned from it almost. Not that everyone like literally everyone, but whoever is involved with this situation.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a big thing is like if you can reflect like the lessons you learn, I feel like people will kind of show you more. Like it's easy to be intuitive if people show you who they really are off rip. And it's not easy for people to get people to show them who they are.
Yeah.
And so I think that is probably one of my skills is I'm good at making friends. I'm good at getting people on my side.
Yeah.
And so them just kind of giving me more information than I usually need is honestly what usually ends up happening. I'm able to just kind of learn more about situations because people just will like tell me stuff. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I've learned something about this person, like what makes them tick.
I relate to that. I've always been the person that people just trauma dump on. Like I'm constantly learning way too much fucking information about people. I like it because like you said, that helps me figure out them. The more information I know, the more I can like almost predict people. Not everyone's super predictable, but when there's someone that like doesn't talk or like doesn't communicate or doesn't give a lot of those people are so hard for me. Like I can't even be around them because I need to figure you out and you're not giving me anything and I'm frustrated. Because a lot of my intuition comes from just processing all this information and then just like making a guess, like an educated guess on what the outcome of this situation or the future of this person is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like to, I like to see what or who people remind me of. And I like to see if that lines up with the rest of their character. So if you remind me of someone I didn't like, are you going to, you know what I mean? Like, and I've had that happen. I've had it happen
I do the
a
same
bunch
shit.
of times. Like there's certain names that I've had issues with. I've had less issues recently. Recently I had an Andrew that I worked with. It was a really nice guy. In the past, I've had some guys named Andrew. It was just like, and every once, so like for a while, it was like, if your name was Andrew,
fuck Andrew,
bro, you better be on your game because if you do one thing, I'm gonna just be off. Because I like 3 in a row that were just awful. Slimy.
Yeah.
Like slimy people. Like, you know, you ever meet someone and you're like, if you were an animal, you'd be like a slug.
Bro,
or like something slimy.
Very rarely, but
some sort of mucus, like a leech. They were leeches. That's what they were. They were leeches. They couldn't get anything from me, but they were trying.
Slimy people.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do that association thing a lot. I think that's kind of just how I live my life. Like I have no Andrews in my life, but Geminis for me, like if I meet a Gemini, I just am taken back to all the times that I've had really fucked up situations and relationships with Geminis. And I just expect the same shit to happen because like this is just Gemini energy and this is how it expresses itself around me. So I don't have like a good running history with Gemini. One of my best friends is a Gemini, but like that is like the biggest reason why I have a problem with Geminis because the energy is just very hard to deal with. It's kind of like two-faced. I don't know if you know a lot about Geminis.
I don't.
It's like Virgo's evil twin. Because they're ruled by the same planet, Mercury, planet of communication. And I feel like Virgo's wow, it's like this more internal energy of that, like being good at communicating and listening. But Geminis use that energy in like a more hidden and manipulative way. I'm not saying I can't be manipulative. I can totally be manipulative, but I don't know, man. There's just something about the energy that is so two-faced. And I cannot stand it. It's like one of my least favorite characteristics. Not just Geminis, but any human that is like, I'll be nice to your face and then behind your back, like, I'm this way. I don't even like you.
Call
like,
you an idiot.
I'm fucking, if I don't like you, you're going to know. I just won't talk to you. I'm just going to be like, completely uninterested. Yeah. Instead of like being fake, I just have a really big problem with being fake. I value authenticity.
Well, I think, for someone that is like in tune to intuition and like how people operate, it's almost, you ever get something and you think it's broke, like you're putting something together from like a company, you're like, if this thing is broke, I'm gonna be so mad. Like the
Yeah.
worst thing is, I would rather put something together and have it put together and then break it
Hmm.
than it come to me broke.
Yeah, that would be fucking
Like,
frustrating.
why did you give me a thing that's broke? Because like now I'm trying to put it together and I can't tell if it's broke or if I'm doing something wrong.
Uh-huh.
And I think like with people, it's the same way. It's like,
Hmm.
with you give, you give energy, and like when it bounces back in a weird way, you're like, wait a minute,
You're like, what the
that's not
fuck
what I
is
sent
this?
out. It's like if you were to play the telephone game with one person, so
Mhm.
you tell them something, they tell you something different. It's like, that's not what I
How
just
did you
said.
get
Like,
this
it's
wrong?
only me and you playing. How you give me that feedback back?
Yes. I feel that.
I think the when you said Virgo's like twin or something like that, right?
Evil twin, yeah,
Is that
Gemini.
is that more because of like how they're aligned astronomically, right? Like, are they? Because so that's what gets me to like even not remotely, not, I'm not completely disinterested, but it's that what gets me to be interested in it is when I was telling you about that show, is there's a lot of these ancient civilizations and cultures that essentially like worshipped and like looked at the stars. They were like
Mhm.
like astrology or astronomy, which
Astrology. Yeah.
no, which one is like study of stars?
Astrology.
Astrology. So astrology goes back like way further than
So
just
fucking
like
far.
when we had like they've been looking at stars since way before telescopes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all these things that line up. Like obviously the pyramids has always been a big one that line up with, true north and all this stuff. But there's dozens of other places around the world that are like this, where like these ancient people from, we don't know how long ago, we just
Mhm.
have guesses, were studying the stars and drawing constellations. So it's like, there's something, I don't know, something's going on up there.
Yeah.
Something's going on up there. And I
mean,
want to know.
If you think about it, I don't understand people who don't have interest in astrology, because like we live on a planet, and you think like it's just this random fucking ball of things floating in space with other balls of things. Like if we're alive on this little ball, it kind of makes you like, why are the other balls? Why are they here? Like, there's life as we know it on this one. What is there on this other one? And I think astrology gives insight into what's going on, because each one of it's not just planets, but like even like the moon is one of the things that you can take meaning from, but it just gives meaning to these things. So like Mercury is about communication, Venus is about love, and like the different signs, there's like the 12 astrology signs, and they all are ruled by different planets. This is so nerdy, I don't want to get so deep into it, but they're all ruled by different planets. So like Libra is ruled by Venus, so it's naturally gonna be a little bit more like flirty, a little bit more love oriented and love focused, because it's ruled by like the planet of love. Or like Aries being ruled by the planet of like war. And Aries are very like in your face, big, bold energy. They're like a energy drink, basically. I don't know. I forget what even the question was. Oh, something about Virgo and Gemini.
Oh no, you brought up Virgo and Gemini because you were talking about
Not liking Gemini.
yeah, not liking Geminis. And I just mentioned like the show and stuff, and how I just thought something like was tied.
Mhm.
There's just something tied to like the stars and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I kind of like, I know enough about astrology to talk about it kind of, but I hesitate because I don't know enough to feel confident always talking about it. But I think I know more than most people.
It seems like one of those things that, when they say like, when you don't know something about something, you think you know a lot. And like when you learn a little bit, you like, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe like you're just somewhere like on the first, like going along there. Cause the amount that normal people know who don't know about it is like none.
Uh-huh.
Is like Chinese.
Yeah.
And it's just, I still don't, I wouldn't even say I'm like not even a drop in the bucket. And I always have people, talking about it.
Yeah.
Especially it's really big with like college girls.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like a bulk of the serving
TikTok,
staff that I've dealt with the last few years.
That makes sense.
Has been like super.
Gen
so like
Z.
my kind of averted, like I've been like a little like, just because I'm just like, get out my face. I don't want to hear like really anything. You know what I mean? Like, talking to college kids is great.
It's really hard talking to people younger than you.
Yeah.
And then they talk like they know more, but like just like based on experience, like you don't know more.
And then there's always like, oh, like, well, I got a lot of experience. It's like, I know you think you do, and I thought I did. We all think we do. Mm-hmm. And I know 10 years from now, I'll be like, this guy, right. 32, 30 in experience. It's just, that's what life is. That's what, that's our, like, it's almost like that's the downfall to like the way we perceive time,
mm-hmm.
And then being able to like be honest with what you actually know and have experienced.
Yeah.
Doesn't come very quick.
Yeah. That's like one of my biggest motivations in life is to share what I've been through to help people who are probably going to go through something similar at some point, because I've gone through so much shit. Like I could make like a movie about my life. It feels like it. And I just want to be helpful with the information that I've gathered, because that shit almost took me out, and I don't want that for other people. I want to be helpful.
Yeah, I feel like if you do something hard, you always want to like show people, like if you do like a race, like a marathon, like, hey, I ran this marathon, like you should do it. It was great. I felt great after I did it. It's like you want to share that experience with them. I remember what you asked me earlier,
mm-hmm.
and I'll say this story, and then I'll let you kind of give your feedback on it. But my like thing that got me on the track was I was thinking about self-checkout, but not in like I want to do it. It was more because I thought about it in the past more seriously, and this was more like, okay, I don't have anything going for me. What are my options? And it wasn't like I'm gonna do that. It was just like, okay, like what's on the table?
Yeah.
it was almost casual.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of like, I'm not quite there, but there just wasn't a lot of steps before that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I had to figure out like, what can I do to like wedge in between that and where I'm at now?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, again, it went back to like fitness and like the gym. And I basically decided like, okay, that's not even an option until I get to what I told myself was 1,500 pounds total for like your big 3 lifts, bench, deadlift, and squat. I was on my way. I only got to like 12 something, but by the time I got to 12 something, so much other stuff in my life had gotten better that I forgot. I kind of almost forgot that I even like kind of mentioned that to myself. But it was something where I knew it was like, if I can accomplish something, it's like, it has to be tied to a goal. So I essentially, I don't know if I recommend doing this, but I'm also like I'm trained in suicide prevention because of what I had to do in the military. I was a chaplain assistant.
Yeah.
So in that job, like you have to be. So I've talked myself off the ledge
right.
Before. And this was not the harder time. This was, like I said, it was more like just practical of like, okay, give myself a goal that I would like to get to. Like I would love to be that strong. And even though I didn't get there, the only reason I didn't get there is because I started losing weight. And it's just really hard to get stronger and lose weight. Yeah. However, I was just really big. And so I was like, if I'm big, I might as well be strong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just easier to be stronger when you have more weight. That's why, like, the strongman contests, those guys are always like burly. They don't look like bodybuilders because you just carry mass differently.
Yeah.
And so I was more built like, like a small strongman, something like that. I was kind of like chubby, but strong. Mm-hmm. And I was like, if I can get that strong, then I know I can do it. I can accomplish stuff, and then maybe I can figure life out. But then I started losing weight, and I was like, well, hold on. I really don't want to be this big anyway. I can put that on hold, and I can just start losing weight. And then that was going so well that I kind of remembered. I was like, holy shit, I did and I was like, I never got there. I was like, I don't care about that anymore. I was like, I'll get there. Once I finish cutting, I'll go back up strength wise and like, but like, it's not even for that reason anymore. It's like, I've got all this other stuff I want to do now. I want to start a business, and I've thought about ways like doing what we talked about earlier, helping people. Like, I don't want to be one of those people that like my family calls for money, but I want to be one of those people that can get them what they need.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so I've always wanted to come up with like programs for like kids and stuff and youth, and essentially want to have like almost like a small business, not class, because like I haven't even done it yet, but like I guess a class, just some sort of thing of like, you know, like if you want to start a business, if you want to do content, especially for like content, right? But then have that available to like family members first. So it's like, look, I ain't giving y'all no money. However, you have, you know, first access, top of the line to like this program that I believe will help people. And it also kind of gives me some time to like work on it too.
Right.
With people that can give me some genuine feedback.
I relate to that a lot. But this is really wild. Oh my God. I've never talked about this. Well, publicly.
Right.
One of my best friends, you probably know who I'm talking about because they were also involved in that community that we were in.
Cool.
Our friendship ended because a lot of things. I mean, we went through a lot in our friendship, but he like asked me for money. He needed to pay rent, right? And he was in a tough spot, and I always had just like more money comparatively between the two of us, and I couldn't do it. Like, it's not that I couldn't have given him money. It was just like the imbalance that already exists in our relationship is a lot. And then for me to do this doesn't feel right for me. It feels like crossing a boundary. And I remember telling him, like, I'm not going to give you money for rent, which sounds so fucked up and like probably is in a way, but
I think it's less not fucked up than it is fucked up. 60-40.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a fucked
70-30 maybe. I don't know.
But I remember saying to him, like, I will help you in whatever other way so you can get the money. Like, if we need to set up like a GoFundMe or have like a party where we're like inviting people and asking for donations, like, I will fucking help you set all that shit up and do it. But like, I can't just, there's something in me that's like, no, don't do that. And we were so close, and that just like broke our friendship. And I was just thinking about this the other day, like, was I wrong? But I don't know, man. Like, where I was at, I couldn't just, it had nothing to do with like the amount of money either. It was the imbalance in our relationship. Like, I'm constantly giving more in this way, and I can't just keep doing this.
Right.
And he was like, and I was like, it was very mutual, clean split. Sad though. If I think about it and talk about it too long, I will start crying. It's like very sore. Like, that was one of my best friends ever.
I've been lucky. I've never really had like friends ask for money. I've never had like a lot of people ask for money in general. It's usually like family, and like I have a few family members that will ask, and the amounts they ask is never a lot, and it's people close enough to me that it's like I would do anything for them. So it's like they're the ones that I would do it for. But yeah, like friends and money, that's always like, it's always tough because I almost feel like I avoid it. Like I've been in situations where like I've maybe asked, not for like much, and I think if I did only once, because I don't even remember, but I'm assuming maybe at one point I did. But it's like I almost fight to do everything I can not to let that be a part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like this one, like I've never had a fight with my best friend. Like of the 2 to 3 people I would say are my best friends, like Nick's one of them, Rashawn's my other one. None of us have ever fought. Like even like me and Nick, we didn't talk for a few years. There was never a fight. And like when I texted him, like same number, we went, got lunch. It was just, we picked up right where we left off.
Right.
So it's just like, but money has never been an issue. So it's like, all right, well, that's maybe one key to, you know, maintaining good friends. Cause we've all been friends like 16 years now.
That's a long time.
For me, that's a long, cause I moved around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the first time I've been in Columbus half my life.
Yeah.
So, and then the other half was between like 5 other cities. So it's like, I've had some friends for a long time, luckily.
Yeah. That's really cool to be able to have friends that long. They just see you like transform and morph into different people and you still somehow maintain a friendship. It's very hard to do because I don't even fuck with people like that. Like now, Joe and Ariel, like Ariel's one of my closest friends. She met me when I was turning 21 and I'm turning 29 now. So like she's known me throughout my 20s. I've been so many people and we've just maintained a friendship throughout it all. And it's so wild because we're not that similar. Like a lot of our values and shit are so different, but there's just like this core, just like love and understanding that just keeps us friends. Like she's one of the most nurturing people I've ever met. And I feel very seen by her. Like no one, I'm like tearing up a little bit. No one like sees me the way that she does. And I like that is how I should be seen because that is me. And if she could just explain that to everyone else in my life, it'd be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's hard to find. I don't feel like it's hard to find good friends like that. It's hard to trust people and trust that they're going to be the same when you get back. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, because that's what it is. It's, I can go, you know, 2 months without talking to, you know, one of my friends, and it's like there's ones where I know we can pick up.
Yeah.
And even if one of us is in a different space, yeah, same thing. I've been, me and Rashawn were just talking about how when we were in high school, I scolded him for playing like Drake.
Nice.
And like, you know, secular music. And you saw what I was playing when you walked in. So it's like, the last time I went over his house, we were kind of joking about that. And I was like, yeah, man, it's not that big a deal. And I finally realized why, like a few nights ago, is there's a quote, the quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your thoughts, something like that. It's by Marcus Aurelius. Mm-hmm. And I realized, I always thought about like, okay, there's something about, I do believe there's something about what you put in comes out. There's no denying that. But then I'm like, that's not always the case, because why do people, like, how can you consume something and, you know, you play video games, you don't go be a serial killer. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, there's like a disconnect there where it's like, it's true, but it's also not true.
Yeah.
And I think it has more to do about like your thoughts, right? It's never about what you're doing. It's about what are you thinking about when you're not doing it. Like if you're not, you know, if you're killing people in a game and then you're thinking about killing people in real life, that even if the game calls it, it's not necessarily because that's just what you were thinking about. And if you always think about that, it's just going to like perpetuate.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I had a hard time listening to music that would like very explicitly talk about like cheating. Like there was a couple songs where like I couldn't listen to them. Fucking, have you heard Kevin's Heart by J. Cole? Oh, I would just fucking melt. It's J. Cole wrote it. I don't know like how much Kevin was involved, but it's kind of like after like he got caught cheating.
Okay.
So it's like, it's like,
right.
it's not like, oh, loosely interpreted. Like it's about cheating. And like, I couldn't even listen to that song.
Yeah.
Because that was all I was thinking about. So when the song would come on, of course I'm starting crying because that's what I'm thinking about during like my daily life is I'm, you know, fucking regretting that.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, it came on the other night. I was saying the words. I didn't even realize what song it was. And I was like, what? Wow. I know this song. How do I know the song? I was like, holy shit. I couldn't even listen to this song 6 months ago.
That is very true. I can think of something similar with music. When I was in, not my last relationship, but the abusive one, because she cheated on me. And she would always listen to like very sexually explicit, just like music. It just talks about like fucking all the time. It's like whatever. I don't even have a problem with that. But I had a problem with it in this relationship, in this context. Like every time this music comes on, I'm just like dreading like this sense of like ick and dread comes on me because like for her, I don't think it's like this subconscious, I'm just listening to a song. Like that's how you feel. Like that's talking about what's going on inside of you and how you want to live your life. And I'm picking up on that and it makes me uncomfortable. But now I listen to the music and I'm out of that relationship, out of that toxicity, and it's just music.
Yeah.
But that's deep.
It's amazing like how that isn't emphasized though. It's like you grow up and they're like, don't watch this stuff. Don't, I feel like maybe watching is a little bit different because you get the audio and the visual. So I feel like it's a little more potent.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, maybe listening to something or reading something wouldn't be the same because you're not also getting all those other like senses activated. And it's like, again, it's more about what you're thinking. The only thing is no one knows but you.
Right.
And it's like, if you're not honest with yourself about what you're thinking, then the stuff that you decide to engage with, whether it's media or just people, like being around people, like it's funny sometimes when guys like make like the guy jokes, but there's sometimes where I'm just like, dude, like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've lived that life. It's not like it's not funny.
Yeah.
you're, oh bro, like, especially like, cause I'm constantly surrounded by like younger men because of like just work.
Yeah.
And they're usually younger than me. And like, they're like funny and like, oh, it's funny. But then sometimes it's like, dude, it's not.
I don't even know what a guy joke is.
It just, like, you don't want to know.
I can imagine, but yeah, no.
It's usually like, what the fuck did you just say? Why did you say that? But like, you can't help but laugh. But like, you should. Usually, it's like you shouldn't laugh, but you're laughing.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'm like, I'm not laughing. It's like I know I shouldn't laugh, and I'm not laughing because it's just not funny.
Yeah.
It's like, especially if it's like a bad joke. It's nothing worse than a bad like guy joke to like a guy that's just fed up with the shit.
It's a little concerning.
Like, I'm done with it.
Man. I feel like I personally could talk endlessly about my experiences with men specifically. And like the straighter they are, the worse.
Listen, I told one of my employees this because she was having some issues. And I go, listen, men are all pigs. Some of us just know where to eat. Do
you identify as a straight man?
Yes, very much. Well, yes, very much so.
Okay.
I have a job, so I want to do some like open mics one time. I don't know when, but I have this bit that I'm working on because one of my employees asked me a very weird personal question, and I made her rephrase it because I was like, I'm not gonna not answer it. Like, I'm not opposed to like answering questions. I love weird conversation.
Yeah.
But the way she asked it was way too like forward and vague, and I was like, you're not about to get me on the technicality. Like, you need to get some specifics so I know exactly what I need to say.
That's great.
But she asked me like how gay I was, how fruity I was, and I think I said I was like, probably like a 1 or 2, and she goes, I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
That is so disappointing.
I gave you I went up to maybe a 2. I went up to maybe a 2. That's higher than I thought I was gonna go.
That's funny.
But the girl's got to be hot. It's not. I don't know. I'm not gonna get to that.
Yeah. Straight men, and I'm not like coming for you at all, but I don't understand. I just don't understand. There's just like a culture around straight men that is a little bit, it's like a little bit toxic, like toxic masculinity. And when you have just a bunch of straight dudes, and I say straight like this because honestly, I don't know
right, like, how
straight anyone is. Like, I think we could all just be like at least a 2,
Yeah.
Fuck, where was I going with that thought?
I think I was gonna try to like finish your thought maybe, and you can derail and go back where you were probably gonna go if it helps you jog. But I feel like too many men want, and it sounds cliche, and I mean this in the literal way, and I also mean this in the cliche way, but I feel like too many men want to be alpha, and they just don't understand that like some people you just gotta be a villager. Like, not everybody gonna be a chief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like the more people that try to like stand out and like be important, it's like a self-importance thing, right? And it's just like, in doing that, you want to like conquer stuff. You want to accomplish stuff. and not enough people are attaching value to things that aren't sex, money, or drugs. So how do you show that you're important? You can get a lot of sex, you can supply your friends with drugs, or you have a lot of money. I mean, seriously, it's like those are the three for like, especially like, you know, coming of age, right? You know, adolescence and early 20s. It's like, and I'll even say like, even in the church, there's still parts of that, because everyone wants to be like the next pastor, someone wants a title for this or that. And it's just like, everyone's not going to get a title. Some of y'all just gonna have to sit in the pew and shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to, no one's giving you a mic. Shut up, sit down. You know what I mean? And so, especially with like social media, which is, you know, super like pot calling the kettle. I have a joke. It's pot calling a kettle a nigga. Cause it's just like, I'm on social media, you know, doing, you know, talking shit, but about people. But I feel like, again, I still feel like some people, you know, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have a lot of people telling me that I should do this before I thought about doing this. And not to say like that's like a prerequisite, but like,
right.
Sometimes people do stuff because they think it looks cool.
Yeah.
And not because they think that people will like it.
Yeah.
Like I was just gaming and I would have people be like, oh, you got a cool voice for like voiceovers and podcasts. And I'm like, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I actually know I could probably make one because they talk about how to make it.
Exactly.
I could just look up a few more videos and then snowball myself into a fucking YouTube channel. And that's what I did. But like, it wasn't because I'm so important. It was people fuck up. I fucked up a lot. And I somehow figured some shit out. And I figured a way to figure my shit out and be confident that whatever I haven't figured out will get figured out. I think that's what keeps me like calm. Anyway, that's off topic, but yeah, so like doing this for like a reason and not just because I want clout. I feel like I need clout because of why I do this.
I like that.
Clout is a means to an end. Like I have, it's just like, I don't want to deal with social media, but I have to, because I have to get, you know, better at it. So I have to like kind of use it. And sometimes I look at stuff. I'm like, okay, what is this person's page? Like like I said, when I talked about your editing, like I was watching it, like she edits different. I like this. It's minimal, but it says something and it fits so well with like what she's saying and how she's saying this story. And not everybody has that. And I guess not just like back off of social media, just like in life and like the workplace, right? You got a guy that's, you know, I want to be the boss. I want to make the money. So I got a guy right now that is very abrasive. And I see these moments in him where I'm like, dude, you would be such a good leader if you didn't have that last little just fucking, and it's the same shit that I had when I was coming up to, I was an asshole, but it was more from like self-hate and whatnot.
Yeah.
But once I figured that shit out, I was able to connect with people so much better. And like, I see him in these moments where I'm like, he's explaining or he's teaching and I'm like, yo, he's on fire. And then I'll hear someone go, oh my God, he's being a dick. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like, you got this. Like, you are leading the charge. Like, people are following you. Like, there's people that people follow and there's people that want to be followed.
That is fair. Yeah.
People follow me. It's annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
I prefer to just be left alone sometimes, but
right.
I'm stuck here and it keeps happening. So I might as well like try to make a living out of it so that I'm not hating going to work every day, you know? I
feel the same way. Yeah. Just like I said, a lot of people have always trauma dumped on me and asked me for advice. And I've given so much advice and good advice. And also, like you said, people have over my life, like even when I was a teenager, like, wow, I really like listening to you tell this story. It's always like the compliments have always been around like my voice, my appearance. Like I've had way too many fucking people be like, I would watch your YouTube channel. I would listen to your podcast. Like too many of those comments for it to just be a coincidence.
Right.
Like, okay, I obviously have some kind of like ability here. And it lines up with like my own passions because I've always been interested in media and production. And so I just put those things together and it works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to like, dude, I know you were going somewhere with like the straight guy thing.
Well, we don't have
but
to
no, but like I take that because I guess I take that just because like there's a lot of, and it's changing, and it's a good thing it's changing because of this, but like there's a lot of men in leadership. And so I feel like because of that, there's a lot of men that want to be in, said leadership positions, and that's kind of like how you get there. So it's like that, and that again, like that's why I don't believe in like self-help, because you can't just apply a thing to like one. You have to apply it to everything. So if you are like ruthless and just trying to get a job, what is a percent that's going to spill into your personal life, and you start being ruthless with your friends and your family and your spouse,
it's inevitable.
or this, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you try to look at everything as a whole and improve or change the whole thing, not saying at the same time, but like consider the whole thing, then I feel like that would work out a lot better, for everyone. Cause like, not for the individual, but for the people around them. And if everyone does that enough, then everyone benefits.
I guess the only thoughts I have left about this straight man thing, and you were kind of talking about leadership. The times where I've been like, I have an authority problem. So under leadership with like straight men, and the straight doesn't really have to do with much. It's just like man.
Yeah, gay dudes are the worst too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just like
dudes in general. Like they're still dudes.
A masculine energy, but like I feel like men specifically are raised away in our culture, and it values like dominance, and like you don't even have to be fucking kind. You just have to be powerful. And I don't get that at all. Like, I don't care if you're a great leader and you can make a bunch of money and you're like a genius. If you're an asshole, I fucking hate you. Like, if you can't talk to me like I'm a person, if you can't explain something or tell me what to do without being a dick, without insulting me, without like, I don't know, just like no regard of me as a human. Oh my God, I don't value your leadership at all. Like, I would rather have any other, honestly, like I would rather have like an incompetent leader that is kind than super capable, super competent, super genius asshole. Like, no one wants to follow that. Like, go away. No one wants to follow that. And it's corruptive because it doesn't build like community. It just kind of pushes people away.
Maybe that's a book I should write. Because I feel like there's a way to be, and I've had my own journey. Not to say that I've always been like the nicest, kindest person. I'm known for sometimes being abrupt, but it's typically, and I try to explain this, like people come to me with problems. My immediate action is to solve the problem, especially if I'm like in a position where like I'm the leader and like you're coming to me because I'm the problem solver. And I've learned, especially working with like younger, like early teens, they're very bad at explaining the problem. You know what I mean? So like someone will tell me and I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, like, but meanwhile, like I still have to go fix the problem. And sometimes they're very time sensitive. So I'm like, we have to go now. You have to either hurry up or I'm going to assume I know what's going on, fill in the blanks. And that's where the problems arise, right? That's where it kind of like comes off. And so that's where I've learned to like, listen to people. Like that's like the main part is like just listen and trust that like, okay, there's not gonna be a literal fire in the next 2 minutes. But it's difficult because people assume the only way to get people to listen to them is to stop them from talking in a way. And even if there's not like a literal conversation, this could be like body language or just like your daily like routine, just kind of like, making something hard for someone. But it's like if you can't like communicate, like they're not going to receive anything you say. So like, how do you get to a point where you can be tough and kind at the same time? Because you still have to be tough, at the very least for yourself, just because, shit happens and it's like, what do you do when like something happens to your kid at school and they're having a hard time and you have to internalize how angry you feel you want to, swear and punch a wall. You have to internalize that because they're crying. And it's like the same thing when you're dealing with relationships, friendships. If someone has something, that you have to internalize how you feel about it while at the same time giving them what they need, whether it's just space, listening, whether they need advice, not just giving them whatever, like, giving them money, like whatever, but it's like, giving them what you can give them to help them in that situation without you reacting to how you feel. Because I guess that's how projection happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I project a lot.
Circle way to get around the definition of projection. As I was saying it, I was like, I'm just describing projecting. Like, what am I doing?
Yes. Yeah. No, even I have a hard time listening to people sometimes, but only people I'm like super comfortable with, because I'm like aware enough to be like, I'm not comfortable with this person. I can't just be my true self, which is a little bit more abrasive and more in line with being a Virgo. This comes up in relationships for me a lot. Like, my partner will be telling me a criticism or something, and like, I can't even fucking hear the shit. Like, as they're talking, I'm already like formulating my response and why they're wrong. Oh God, I'm just sorry. I'm fun. But like, if I see that characteristic in another person, I hate that. But it's in me. I don't know. So maybe like I'm very critical of that in other people because it exists in me.
Because you're aware of how detrimental it is. I mean, and the thing is, here's what I found is, obviously, like, has someone ever complained about something that you felt like I can deal with that, right? But we don't consider like the things that we struggle with, someone else may not struggle with. But then we project that like, oh, that's a problem, you got to fix that, when like they may not think it's a problem. Yeah. But it's just a problem for us. Yeah. Because like, it's just, your problems are always bigger because they're closer. It's like when if I stand in front of a 8-foot wall versus, like away from like a 10-foot wall, like the 8-foot wall will seem bigger because I can't see around it. So it's just like your problems are just like, oh, look at me.
Yes. Yeah, I feel that.